August 3rd, 2024, Paris, France. The Stade de France erupted as the final whistle blew. But this wasn't about the medal ceremony. This wasn't about the record that had just been broken. The cameras found a moment in the stands that no one had scripted. A father who hadn't spoken to his daughter in 7 years. A mother who had raised that daughter alone, fighting every day to keep bitterness from poisoning love. In between them, a 22-year-old Olympic champion who had just won gold while carrying a weight heavier than any physical training could prepare her for. Her name was Martinez, and the moment she stepped off that podium, she didn't run to her coach. She didn't celebrate with her teammates. She walked into the stands and did something that would make millions of people around the world stop and remember their own. Broken families. This is that story. And if you've ever loved someone through the pain of separation, if you've ever been the glue trying to hold pieces together that don't fit anymore, then this story is for you. Before we begin, this channel exists for one reason: to tell the stories behind the stories. The battles fought in silence. The victories that don't come with trophies. If that resonates with you, you're home. Sofia Martinez didn't come from money. She came from love. Her parents, Roberto and Maria, met in a small town in New Mexico in 1998. He was a high school football coach with dreams bigger than his paycheck. She was a nurse who worked double shifts and still made it to every game. They married young, barely 21, and everyone said it wouldn't last. But for 15 years, they proved everyone wrong. Sofia was born in 2002. From the moment she could walk, she could run. And Roberto saw something in her, not ambition, not fame. He saw joy. Pure, unfiltered joy in movement. He started training her at 6 years old. Not pushing, just playing. They'd race in the backyard. They'd time each other on the local track. And Maria would watch from the porch, bringing water and snacks. Keeping score in a notebook she still has today. By the time Sofia was 12, she was breaking state records. By 14, national scouts were calling. This was the family everyone wanted to be. Supportive father, loving mother, prodigy daughter. But here's what the highlight. Reels never show. The fractures forming beneath the surface. It started small. Roberto's intensity growing. His suggestions becoming demands. The backyard training sessions turning into 3-hour drills that left Sofia in tears. Maria would pull him aside. She's just a kid, Roberto. Let her breathe, but Roberto couldn't hear it. To him, Sofia wasn't just his daughter anymore. She was his purpose, his second chance, the dream he never got to live. And Maria. Maria was watching her daughter disappear into someone else's expectations. The breaking point came in 2017. Sofia was 15. Preparing for the World Youth Championships, Roberto wanted her to train through an ankle injury. Maria said, absolutely not. The argument that followed wasn't their first, but it was their last as a married couple. You're holding her back, Roberto said. You're breaking her, Maria replied. Sofia stood in the hallway, listening to her world split in two. By early 2018, the papers were filed. Roberto moved to California to coach at a university. Maria stayed in New Mexico with Sofia. The custody agreement was clinical, alternating weekends, shared holidays. No overlap. But here's what legal documents can't capture: the way a 16-year-old girl learns to pack 2 different versions of herself. The version her dad wanted to see, focused, driven, hungry. And the version her mom needed to protect. Soft, uncertain, human. Have you ever had to be 2 different people just to keep the peace? Drop a comment if you have, because that split, that constant code switching between the people you love, it leaves scars you can't see. For 3 years, Sofia ran. Not just on the track, but from the question she was too afraid to ask. Whose dream am I chasing? Sofia qualified for the Pan American Games. Roberto was there, clipboard in hand, analyzing every stride. Maria was there too, sitting 50 rows away, cheering quietly. Sofia won silver. And afterward, she had 2 separate celebrations. Dinner with Dad, strategy, analysis, what went wrong. Dinner with Mom, laughter, relief. Permission to be proud. She never told either of them about the other dinner. By 2020, the pandemic hit. Training stopped. The Olympics were postponed. And Sophia, stuck at home with Maria, finally had time to think. She was 18 years old and realized she didn't know who she was outside of running. Worse, she didn't know if her parents saw her as a daughter anymore or just as the bridge between their unfinished business. In November 2020, Sophia made a decision. She called her dad and told him she needed space. Not from running, but from him. Roberto didn't understand. To him, taking space meant giving up. It meant weakness. They didn't speak for 7 months. Maria didn't push Sophia to reconcile. She'd learned the hard way that you can't force healing. But she watched her daughter carry guilt that wasn't hers to carry. "You're allowed to protect yourself," Maria would tell her, "even from the people you love. If you've ever had to choose between your peace and someone else's expectations, you know how impossible that choice feels. What would you have done? Be honest in the comments." The Tokyo Olympics. Sophia didn't qualify. The disappointment crushed her, but it also freed her. She took a year off. She went to therapy. She worked part-time at her mom's hospital. She remembered what it felt like to be Sofia Martinez, the person, not Sofia Martinez, the athlete. And slowly, quietly, she started running again. Not for her dad. Not for records. For herself, by 2023, she was back. Faster, stronger, but more importantly, clearer. She knew why she was running now. Roberto reached out that year through a text message. "I saw your time in the 800 meters. Incredible. I'm proud of you." Sophia didn't respond immediately. She sat with it for days. And when she finally replied, all she wrote was, "Thank you. That means a lot." It wasn't reconciliation. It was a crack in the wall. 2024 Olympic trials. Sophia qualified easily. She was 22 years old and running like someone who'd made peace with her demons. Maria was there, as she'd always been. Roberto watched from California via live stream. The media called Sophia the comeback kid. But those who knew her story understood this wasn't a comeback. This was a becoming. In the weeks before Paris, Sophia did something unexpected. She called her dad. "I want you there," she said. "In Paris. I want you to see this." Roberto's voice cracked. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure." She didn't tell him that her mom would be there too. Some conversations needed to happen in person. The Resagas third, women's 800-meter final. Sofia Martinez in lane 4, the gun fired. For the first 400 meters, Sophia ran, smart patient, controlled, waiting. At the bell lap, she made her move. She accelerated through the field, passing runner after runner. Coming into the home stretch, she was in second place. Whoosher meters left. 40. 30. In the stands, Maria was standing, hands clasped in prayer. 5 rows behind her, Roberto was on his feet, tears already forming, 20 meters. Sophia surged. Sure meters. She leaned. She crossed the line first by 0.03 of a second. Olympic champion, Sophia collapsed on the track. Overwhelmed. Her coach helped her up. The cameras followed her every move. She walked to the stands, still breathing hard, still processing what had just happened. She found her mom first. Maria was sobbing, reaching over the barrier. They hugged, and Sophia whispered, "We did it, Mama. We did it." Then Sophia looked up and saw him. 5 rows back. Roberto standing frozen, afraid to move, afraid to intrude. And Sophia did something no one expected. She climbed further into the stands. She walked past other spectators, past security trying to stop her. She reached her father, and she said 5 words that broke him. "I couldn't have done this without you," Roberto tried to speak, but couldn't. Sophia hugged him. And 14 years of pain, pride, regret, and love poured out in that embrace. Then Maria appeared behind them. She'd followed Sophia up the stands, and here was the moment that stopped the world. Maria looked at Roberto, the man who had hurt her. The man she'd spent years learning to forgive, not for him, but for herself and their daughter. She extended her hand. Roberto took it, and then, with Sofia between them, the three of them stood together for the first time in 7 years. Not as a perfect family, not as people who'd forgotten the past, but as three people who loved someone enough to try. The broadcast cameras captured it. Within minutes, the image went viral. But the people in that moment weren't thinking about cameras. They were thinking about every missed birthday, every graduation without both parents, every holiday spent divided. They were thinking about the price they'd all paid for pride and pain, and they were choosing, right there, to pay a different price, the price of vulnerability, of forgiveness, of showing up even when it's hard. That night, Sofia, Maria, and Roberto had dinner together. It wasn't comfortable. There were long silences, careful words, moments where old wounds threatened to reopen. But they stayed. They talked. And by the end of the night, they'd agreed to try family therapy together, not to get back together. Not to pretend the hurt never happened, but to learn how to be a family in a new way. In her post-race interview, a reporter asked Sofia what the gold medal meant to her. She thought for a long moment. Then she said, "This medal means I learned that I'm strong enough to run my own race. But it also taught me that I don't have to run alone. That the people who hurt us can also be the people who love us. And sometimes love means learning how to show up for each other even when it's hard." Sofia Martinez's story isn't unique. Across the world, there are millions of children carrying the weight of their parents' broken relationships. Children who become translators, mediators, bridges. And there are millions of parents learning that love isn't about being perfect. It's about being present, even when you don't know what to say. This story is for every kid who wished they didn't have to choose sides. For every parent trying to coexist with someone they once couldn't imagine living without. For everyone learning that healing isn't linear, isn't pretty, but is always possible. If you believe that people are more than their mistakes, that families can be rebuilt even when they can't be repaired, and that the hardest victories are the ones nobody sees, then this channel is for you. We tell the stories that matter, the ones about ordinary people doing extraordinary things in the quiet moments. When cameras aren't rolling, Sofia Martinez taught us that sometimes the greatest race isn't about finishing first. It's about having the courage to stop running from the things that hurt and start running toward the things that heal. Subscribe if you want more stories like this, stories that remind us we're all human, we're all struggling, we're all capable of more grace than we think. Thank you for being here, for listening, for caring about the things that matter most.